in the Pokemon tournament. I was down one move and I missed. And to be fair, my first time playing competitively for doubles, so I was doing great. I was doing all right. This man plays. He literally is as well as being a Smash coach is also a competitive Pokemon coach. So exactly, I was doing pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. I had the strat. I was like, we gonna find out if this works. But either way, I just happened to be like, hey, I'm doing this work. I'd love to hear more about what you're doing, and he so happened to be the entire lore keeper of everything. So the man gave me all the background on the creations of the worlds, how it started during the pandemic, the role, a lot of other stuff. So sometimes when it comes to ethnographic research, it is just asking people. It's just running into the right person, because every person you meet is going to shift your engagement of how you experience or interpret your work.
No problems. All right, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Doing good? Appreciate it. Love the energy. My name is Michelangelo Maurice Valentino Hayes. People call me Val. People call me Maurice. Michelangelo's the first name, like the painter or Ninja Turtle, whatever's your flavor. And I'm glad to present to you all today. That's my favorite Pokemon, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, got a lot to get through. I'm going to give the introduction, the world of Pokemon, for those who may be unfamiliar. Pokemon World of Blackness, Gaming While Black, which is what your wonderful professor talked about. What does these worlds look like online, right? And why is this worthy of a talk? There's going to be some crazy information, seems really jarring. How things fall apart and things fall together. If anybody read Chinua Achebe, that's my man, so a little reference there. Tajiri's Solution and Movement, kind of what I'm wearing on the hat right now. Evolution, and then Beyond Dreams, and what it looks like actually to build these communities, and how you can do so yourself. Even outside of like racial, ethnic identity, just building something for yourself in this new world, and as we move into the future. But who am I? If anybody recognize this from the first game when they asked what's your name? Are you a boy or a girl? No, stuff like that. So I go by, of course, my first name. Maurice Valentino is my creative name. Maurice is actually my middle name. Valentino's like, I got it from the Wale song, but also the brand. I really love the concept of like Valentines and stuff like that. Mr. Hayes, Val, Mike, and I am an educator. I have my own international tutoring company. So I tutor, I was just even tutoring before I came here, K through 12, college, you name it, ASVAB, everything, GRE, everything. I'm a college grad, I graduated from Morehouse College. I've attended in post-grad, just different schools. I've attended Johns Hopkins University, Harvard, Heilongjiang University in China. I'm an anime and manga scholar, as I'll say. I love studying it. I love Araki from JoJo's. But I also just read a lot of manga, and I teach on it at different conventions. I love hip hop. If you start singing a hip hop song, I'm glad he didn't put no hip hop music, because I'll like turn into the Hulk. It's like a Winter Soldier type of thing.
That was last week.
I'm a rapper and recording artist. I've actually performed and went on tour in China about 7 years ago. I was on national TV. And it's funny you mentioned Yu Hakusho, because I actually went on tour for a song mixing the romantic theme of Yu Hakusho. I have not shared that with you yet, but it's been very well perceived, and I've been able to go on tour with it. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a journalist. I love the game. I love the community organized. I've been to, one of my dreams is to go to all 7 continents, and then eventually go to space. I know it's crazy. I've gotten 4 continents so far, so I'm halfway there. Like I said, I've been to China, I've been to Paris, I've been to everywhere. It's been really great. And I'm a Pokemon master, and I love memes. I have a book out right now called The Culture is Power. And yeah, great one to your wonderful professor, because it's about also just how we can use culture and everything. You can see it on Amazon. But yeah, let's get into it, into Pokemon. Raise your hand. I know you heard. Raise your hand if you're really into Pokemon. All right, turn it up. Hey, okay. This is some history you may not learn. So the guy's name is Tadashi Tajiri, and he got the idea from how he used to collect bugs and tadpoles in the forest near his home. He actually had a form of Asperger's, where he was like, well, this is something I like to do. He would spend all the time out of school doing that. And then he linked up with Shigeru Miyamoto. Raise your hand if you heard of Shigeru Miyamoto. In my opinion, he's one of the gods of gaming, but this is the gentleman who created Mario, Donkey Kong, Legend of Zelda, and Star Fox. I'm like, dang, man, that's insane, right? He recently, for the first time, actually took a step down from Nintendo, because he's getting up in age. It's been nuts. But if it wasn't for Shigeru Miyamoto, because Pokemon was a mega ambitious project, he was like, dude, the coding was a mess. It was put together with a packet tape, okay, at the end of it. And Shigeru Miyamoto told to Nintendo, he wasn't the president, he's like, I think you should give him a chance. And he allowed him to pitch in front of Nintendo twice. If it wasn't for Shigeru Miyamoto, we wouldn't got Pokemon as well. The video games came out in 1996, red and green version in Japan, February 27, 1996. Pokemon's turning 30 years old next year. I'll be throwing parties around the United States. They've already contracted me, throws a few parties. So if you see me in different conventions, I'm the Pokemon guy. Other people, like your wonderful professor said, when you go into a game in a small studio, these are the people who started off. Ken Sugimori, who does all the iconic watercolor art, right? He was like, dude, I'll just draw the pictures for your little magazine. Like, these are like teenagers and people in their young 20s just like, hey, you're doing an idea, let me help. Junichi Masuda was just doing the video game music that we like. The anime director, he was like, you're doing a show about electric rat? Sure, right? Anime's booming, who cares? And now it's the current president. So these individuals started when they were young, not knowing what was gonna go, but starting because they just had an idea, and I think it's beautiful. And now it's evolved into the most profitable media franchise in the history of the world, $100 billion. A lot of critiques, which are valid, but it's insane how big it's gotten. From the cards, the plushies, and everything. Anybody into the games, if anybody wants to, you can speak, raise your hand, start saying your favorite Pokemon game, you can. But there's 9 generations over 29 years. Arceus, Scarlet and Violet, and Legends of EA just came out. Does anybody have any Pokemon game they would like to talk about that's like one of their favorites or has a core memory with it? Anybody? Go ahead.
Pokemon Soul Silver is very special. I still remember the first time I realized there was 2 games in it, and like I cleared the first 8 gyms, and I was like, oh, I can go to another world. That was crazy. Also has the hardest like NPC in any Pokemon game I've ever played.
That's beautiful. Yo, Ash, you said Red. You went to go see Red, which is nuts.
Yeah.
It's really insane. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I'm gonna show my age here, but I played, my first engagement with Pokemon was Pokemon Yellow on a neon green Game Boy.
I have that exact one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. What was core memory about it? You just remember playing it like?
I really not a huge gamer, but it's always been Pokemon for me. That was really the first game I ever played.
Wow.
And it's pretty much the only game I've played to this day.
No, it sounded amazing. That's amazing. What about you?
I'd say Pokemon Red, because that was the first time I was able to get a 3DS, and because usually I download this this emulator on my phone to be able to play like Ruby and Sapphire, but Red was the first time I was able to actually get a 3DS to actually play with my friends online.
That's beautiful. I love that. And I'm glad that everybody has core memories, even with the OG stuff. So that's dope. I have a few ones in the main line. I love Crystal version. I love chasing around Suicune. That was pretty raw. Then the Pokemon Platinum, where you have to fight the devil, which is kind of insane. You have to fight the devil again, Arceus, but that's a whole nother story. And then Emerald, where you saw Rayquaza come from the sky in the cutscene. So a lot of stuff. But like I said, there's a trading card game. There's anime, there's video game, plushies, merchandise, collabs, and cosplay. Like, people can get into this. Like, if you even do it casually, make a lot of money. But this is my career, and I just love teaching about it and helping other people. But I want to talk about, like, how is it, being that it has its hands everywhere, how does that go into, the concept of blackness? So until Pokemon X and Y in 2013, actual games, players were not allowed to change their skin color to black. So from then on forward, black people were able to change their hair colors and styles and finally be more represented in the games. That's how it kind of started to look. Like, you had that option. Like, even outside of blackness, like if you was even of a darker skin color of any ethnic or racial identity, people was like, oh cool, like, wait, someone looks at me or my skin tone, It's kind of cool. And then when we got into Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and then Sword and Shield, he was able to get different hairstyles. But I think it was joked on earlier, we had the Killmonger style was out, but then the cornrows, right? They're trying at least, So you see after some years, 20 some odd years, like Pokemon's like, okay, I want to include that. Recently, I didn't put this on the ZA, the black community, just like with Miles Morales, was in the uproar because you got the color of the tips of your locks, which is to the black people, it was like, excuse me? Like, there was a whole conversation on it. I thought that was crazy. So this is the part where it's going to get into it, and that Pokemon is, we talk about what would Nintendo got into politics. In the 2020 protests, actually, Nintendo actually, and Game Freak actually donated $150,000 to Black Lives Matter cause. And with it, you recognize that Pokemon's a global game where you have everybody in every different individual color and background. I think it's an incredible multicultural game because all my friends are of different nationalities and everything I've grown up with. We all just like these little monsters, There's notable black influencers on social media in real life that are passionate about Pokemon. It's made waves. So I'm just going to talk about some influencers that you may or may not have heard of that you can engage in, support your work, and do really fun stuff. You got DJs, you got these individuals, the woman, her name is Toasty Marshmallow, she's done like the song for Pokemon Worlds. You got this gentleman in London who's one of the biggest content creators of London. You had the guy that Big Man Blastoids, if you've been seeing that song everywhere. Big Man, you've been seeing it everywhere in the world. And then you have Shofu, who does Pokemon freestyles and rap and everything. So these things may be niche, but these people have like millions and thousands of views. So I thought it was pretty cool to include them in this conversation. There are notable black celebrities in real life who have indulged in their passion about Pokemon and that we may not even know about. You got, Jordan Sparks. You had even Steven Smith do a whole commentary. Can someone asked him on live, can U2 guard LeBron? And it was a whole combo on that, right? You have Austin Creed, who's in WWE, Justice Smith, who played in the Detective Pikachu movie, but actually cares about the franchise. You've got Tyra Banks, who did a whole promotional for Pokemon Go. Whether they engage in it casually, Waka Flocka Flame said he credits Pokemon with saving his life because through counting the card games, which me and your professor don't know how the hell to play, he said like it taught him how to count, it taught him how to trade because people would pay to get Pokemon cards. Who used to hustle Pokemon cards back in the day? Raise your hand. All right, cool. Let's see this is an experience. Like I got this card for 2, I got this for 1.
I gave that thing, but I was a confused child.
Right, look, man, look. We all got right? Even the freaking NFL star Jamal Williams from the I think New Orleans Saints was at it, saying I'm at Worlds, I'm at Nationals. So it was all been very cool. It's even Soulja Boy. I don't have this picture on here, but now he's playing Legends EA. When he had Pokemon Go, he had Pikachu on his like Rolex, so that was pretty fun. So all that kind of stuff. Getting into it with the Pokemon World Blackness from the people who engage in it, because the global franchise, like every other race and ethnicity of people, Pokemon's also looked at how can we cater because we care about our families, which is one of my thesis and opinion, right? So there are many black and black-coded characters throughout the franchise, more prominent in later years, and influence from black people in real life to serve as inspiration. You have a bunch of characters, right? Even if they aren't black-coded, right? Like Brock, right? Like the fact that people said he may be more Filipino because they're more darker skinned. You have people different, as it goes to different regions, these regions mimic real worlds. Like Unova was New York, Kalos was Paris, right? And you have parts of the African diaspora that are represented there. I thought that was pretty cool. Galar, Spain, which is Galar, which was England, and then Spain, which is Paldea. And you have all these individuals. I'm like, this is how the diaspora looks in our colors and everything. And growing up, watching how the franchise evolved, it was like, it's pretty cool. You got a plethora of all sizes and shapes, just like the people. Getting into it, they don't always get it right. And this is why consultants, if you want to get a career in consulting and everything, this matters because you should recognize some of these figures right here. That's Beyonce, and that's Pam Grier. I don't know if anybody knew, but in Gen 5, Lenora, her original design, the person wrote in their notes, it was based off of Pam Grier and Beyonce. The bad part, and also Rhyme, people in the community have likened because she's a rapper, she's a black one, she's older, she has the hair, they likened her to Missy Elliott and everything. The person who designed Lenora says, yeah, we want the drink of a strong black woman, so we gave her an apron and stuff like that. So Lenora originally had an apron. And they took that design and put it back, and people, because there was backlash, there may be like a mammy stereotype. So just like with the minstrelsy, consultants are important because after that, it became a Mandela effect. It was like, wait, did Lenora actually have an apron? Yes, she had an apron within the first couple games, and even animated, it just took that all away. So it's funny that even Beyonce is in Pokemon as well. I thought that was pretty funny. However, like in animanga, I call it animanga, with their black characters, Japanese artists have missed a mark in designing some characters that reflect the subconscious of anti-blackness and upholding stereotypes. So this is actually, I already went through it, but this is the original words of like the person who designed her. And I'm not saying, everybody's saying like not everybody gets everything right. And I looked at it and I did an eye roll, I was like, I've heard this before, right? He's talking about like the fact, no, I really wanted to include, and I thought what represented strong, right? And I saw this on TV, and I was like, all right, man. So, then you have Jinx, right? The Jinx paradox. There's actually the Jinx episode is one of the few banned episodes inside of America, and they dared not show it in the 1990s. It's funny that Pokemon has the poker rap, right? But they dared not go into Jinx, and to this day, I can't remember last time I've seen her in like an episode. But her earlier designs, instead of being more purplish, straight up black, and that was just nuts. And then, who knows this character? Raise your hand if you know this character. Okay, great. This is Marlon. What race do you think Marlon is? Anybody?
He's in all white. Look at his feet.
So, yeah, so this is, I don't know if anybody can tell. It took me 12 years to notice that he has a tan. If you look at his waistline, it's awesome. He is white, American. And it's caused a lot of controversy. So it's another case of like, why? I know but why, right? I understand someone can tan, but why? So this is a lot of whys, right? So what do we do? What happens with this? So even given black representation, black streamers, black encoded musicians in the franchise, we're still severely underrepresented in the competitive spaces of VGC, TGG Unite due to the specter of systematic racism. People think of racism, people may think of like the words you say, or you can't get into this place, but there's also different socioeconomic, political factors that make sure that people don't get into things like on an indirect basis. This is one of my people, I know her name is Becca Battis. There has yet to be a black commentator on like a Pokemon Worlds, but she was able to live stream it from her platform, even while having under 6,000 followers. And there's the whole economy of social media followers and everything, but I thought it was a big moment. Who knows who this guy is? Yes, that is Wolfie, the god. They call him LeBron in Pokemon, right? He's won a lot of championships, right? Even though it was a conversation about blackness, he's a very cool guy. I met him, dapped him up, got a picture with him before he's getting ready to retire. So it's pretty rad. But to the extent, I'm only saying to him to this day, it's been almost 30 years as a franchise, there's yet to been a single black Pokemon champion in the Worlds for this Masters for TCG, Unite, and VGC. And here comes the solution of what I want to do and have that more representation. Given that everybody at Pokemon plays it, there's been all sorts of representations of different races who have won a championship. But like, dang, I haven't seen one of us at the actual win. Maybe in champions in the Worlds, but never at, okay, they won like the big shindig. Why is that? What's the reasons, right? I want to go into gaming while black before we get into conversation, right? There's a gentleman named Corey J. Miles, PhD. So I want to talk to you about Mr. Dr. Fletcher. So he wrote an article that says, I don't want to do time, I want to save it. He talked about the causality of time and black temporal resistance. I thought that was mega heavy. This was back in 2021 when COVID happened. I did like a presentation on hip hop. And I read his article, I'm like, dude, I love time. I love me a time travel story. I love JoJo, I love all that, man. I thought it was right up my alley. But when I read it, I'm like, he interviewed me for his PhD. I'm like, I never knew to think about how black people's time may not even be their own as an aspect of racism. I never thought of that. How much is taken away from us, has been taken away. It was just with the triangular trade system, with slavery, with Jim Crow. I never thought about, even when you take away with the 3-strike law, the 1-strike law, how time can be snatched away with you as a sense of punishment, right? So he said the criminalization of blackness has led to premature death, high incarceration rates, psychological stress, all which impact black people's temporal horizons. And then as I started to game and create Tajiri, I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm onto something. He goes, the results indicate that the respondents experience temporal traps, real big word right there, really crazy, that restrict the temporal possibilities of black people in temporal stasis as they feel trapped with ongoing history of anti-black violence. So this is where he goes into making it like more colloquial. They narrate a desire to take their time, to save time, to resist the dominant temporal order. The operative take signifies the creating of temporal possibility through accompanying time's relation to racial structures, and save time signifies freeing time for the structural demands of white supremacy. I'm like, dude, this is pretty heavy. What does this mean? So I wanted to go into it about all the specters that may happen to racism. Your professor's already drilled into the two and everything, so I'm gonna be quick. But verbal and graphic racism, you'll see on Discord or you go into any chat, and the cool thing now is just to say the N-word and see how much shock value it gets, you know? So you gotta deal with that. You gotta deal with racist memes. When Pokemon even Legends ZA came out, there was a whole map made to show when to avoid the darker skinned Nurse Joey. So I'm like, dude, this game just came out 2 business days ago. What the hell's going on? Stereotypes, right? When you're playing a game, raise your hand if you ever played Call of Duty. Who's been in them Call of Duty chats? Anybody has a testimony or a story about a situation they may have had? Go ahead.
I've been playing games since I was like 5, and I was playing Call of Duty when it came out. And I've been on the receiving end and I've been distributing myself for a long time. So I've since retired. I don't play games as much online, but if I got back on it, I would pick it right up. So
I don't want to speak to specifics because definitely there's issues with sometimes, especially when I was younger though, being exposed to some of the languages being used inside of those chat rooms and things like that in game chat. So
this is before gaming became the super thing that it is now in the pandemic. But I never played. My dad said, "You ain't playing no shooting games," because my peoples used to play that and everything. They used to shoot in real out from Baltimore, by the way. It get dangerous around there, right? So he said, "You're gonna be more into Nintendo." But my cousins and people's like, dude, I'm like 10 years old. I'm being called this word and like, anybody watch Atlanta? Donald Glover's Atlanta. Anybody watch that? There was a part in it where the dude is one of my favorite episodes, Rich Wigga, Poor Wigga, and he's in there. And the moment they said, "Oh, you're probably black," or "You're probably this, that, and the third," I'm like, dude, that's the culture. It's nuts. Stereotypes about the way you play, even the way you aim your gun. Oh, you must be black, don't you? It's really insane. Alt-right culture rise, as we talked about with Red Dead Redemption. Then you have the recent, I heard with Assassin's Creed, there's going to be one set where he also confronts the KKK, and even mentioning of that had sparked backlash, right? Yasuke is back black. It's not backlash, that's a good term. Hold on, it's freestyle, but backlash. We don't got the time. This goes back into what Corey Miles was saying, and this goes into how does this go into Pokemon, how does this go into build communities? All this goes into it. There's a book called Black Tax. When I went to South Africa, they introduced it to me. But the concept of because of our socioeconomic positions, sometimes we're now just getting to the generations where the millennials, the black millennials at the time, are the first big breadwinners in their family, got a lot of corporate jobs that hitting 80, 90, 100K. And instead of having that leisure to do it, because of their socioeconomic position, they have to give a lot back to their families and be the big bread. It becomes a lot. I sent bread back home. I sent this back thing and everything. And with that, they're not able to enjoy that freedom or that freeing of the time, right? Lack of quick, viable return yield. Raise your hand if your parents say, "Get off that damn game." Anybody say that, right? Because they don't see it as viable, right? I'm on this 2K, I'm on this Pokemon, I'm on Call of Duty. It's not going to make you a career. Especially when you have things of more so the black communities, we see ways of more so stereotypical. They talk about engineering, which is great, right? But they also talk about go to school or football, basketball, things that seem viable in our communities through history. And so we say those are more viable than just hopping on a game, right? I think my world was changed in 2020 when I saw a young male in he was a freshman in high school, and he had won $1.5 million for Fortnite. I'm saying, bro, who cares about football scholarship more and more, bro? My world had changed. I'm like, oh, this is different now, right? Well, that was never a discussion with a lot of black millennials and a lot of people growing up, or just anybody that video games were viable. So organizing and distributing resources, because racism is also about a equitable distribution of resources, right? This is me with the Morehouse Maroon Tigers. I'm a coach for a Morehouse Maroon Tigers, which is a esports group. They've won different competitions across the United States, stuff with Comcast and everything, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've helped give them funding, work with Microsoft to get internships, just distributing my network of my resources to help, because it's all about doing that. Lack of camps, right? Having a camp in which people have those resources and have the time to do it is a blessing in itself, in which people don't understand. A lot of people said, who come to me, "I don't know anybody in my community who plays Pokemon." I'm like, I got something. It's like, I don't know anybody in my community that's able to give this. So we're just without, and we just don't have that. But having camps, a lot of people who compete in these world competitions, they're in houses, just playing a game for 6 hours, everything. That's a privilege that people don't even think about. Equipment and tech, right? You're playing with this old hand-me-down controller you've had in 8 years, You done threw that into the foot. You play FIFA a lot of times. You done threw it into the wall. You threw it into the ground. So you may not have the equipment. You may not have the up-to-date systems, right? Personnel to do that, to run these things. All this go into with these high esports teams that get paid to go out to things. And I'm working with one today as a coach. They have the personnel to do that, and that's not always equally distributed for people that look like me. I am the only African-American coach in the largest scholastic esports coaching organization in the United States called FenWorks. I do Mario Kart and Smash, and I really don't mind and stuff because it just happens. It's the world of representation. But I'm like, dang, when I look at the way they do personnel and everything, I said I haven't seen a single person like me for almost a couple years now. And sponsorships are a big thing. Luckily, Morehouse Maroon Tigers, they got sponsored by Intel, but it's little things like that. And even what I do with Tajiri, just sponsoring a little bit. So let's get into what does this look like online. Go ahead, yes.
Wait, okay. So you have like an esports team that you're the coach of, and like, do these kids go to Morehouse like just for the team, like recruited athletes?
Now they're starting to do so, yes.
Okay.
A lot of schools, which is insane, the last 2 years, they're giving full ride scholarships for people who compete in Smash and stuff like that. I think
Wow.
Dr.Fletcher just educated me, like Pokimane, the streamer just gave $15,000 for Smash initiative and everything to Princeton, which is probably dope.
Not Princeton, University of Irvine.
Okay, there we go. My apologies. Yes.
Also Smash Scholarship.
And so,
Go ahead.
oh, so are you like recruiting? Are like these kids almost your recruits? So you have to go out, find them, recruit them, and like have them come?
High
Like
key a
traditional
little
sports?
bit. Yeah, I more so go do an advisory role and I give them sponsorships and stuff like that and go, I'm their advocate. Because guess what? This is a good conversation because they didn't have an actual, they have an advisor that the school throws to you like, here, damn, like
Yeah.
here, whatchamacallit. But the Morehouse Maroon Tigers, they wanted to get sponsorship from the school, but the school, being that Morehouse is a little bit more conservative Christian, they said, you play games that use guns. Call of Duty and everything, so we will not sponsor it. I said, I got a nonprofit, I don't got that much, we gonna get y'all something, because that don't make no damn sense.
Yeah.
You winning all this money, you winning all these things, you get scholarships, so I got them an official partnership with Microsoft, and they've been getting great internships and stuff. That's what I'm able to do.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then different, also in FenWorks, I think any kid or any person deserves gaming, right? I coached a person to go to Wyoming Nationals, they won #1, right?
Oh my gosh.
So in Smash, so it's just like, those type of things, like, I scout, I do see that, but I always want to make sure like everybody's equally represented. I did something called Pearson Online Schools, and I only saw like maybe one other, 2 black kids. Otherwise, everybody gets the same level of education. I taught them broadcasting, there's so much in esports, right? But it's really insane, like this is a whole economy now. I do scout, I do teach them like, hey, you can go pro, right? And here's some places. Good question, by the way. Anybody can ask a question, so dope. Let's talk about what this concept of worlds means, right? Pokemon, this is literally like a fan map, but Pokemon has so much lore. I even got stuff from the freaking DS games of like Oblivia and, what was it, Almia and everything. We talk about Pokemon Ranger. This is the entire Pokemon world, right? Of stuff that's within the video games, the side games, everything. Really insane. But what does a world mean when it's not an actual, like, world, right? What the heck does that mean? So there's the Arjana region. We call them regions, right? Region as in, like it's a league, it's a region, interchangeable in a sense. But Arjana had over 10,000 individuals who was it was all Black Pokémon League. It was the first, it was the mother, what we call it. 10,000 people strong from all parts of the diaspora. It'd be from London, it'd be from China, it'd be from places you didn't think like, yo, you're here. Like Nebraska, even though it's in America, right? But you saw places like, yo, we didn't know you was here. Only place not represented was, I think, Australia and Antarctica. But it's really insane to see, like, while we're really everywhere, while this is exclusive, how do you maintain that space? After Arjana came Ujima, which is a break-off. Everything's a break-off from Ujima. This is a story you never knew about, but it gets crazy. So it gets really nuts. You should buy the book. I should press the book or something. It's gonna get nuts. I ain't giving you all, but yeah. The Kari region, that's where I met him. Tajiri region, which is I run. I came after Kari. Afro-American Pokemon League that came in 2021. The Afrosian region also came in 2021. A lot of these came in the 2019-2021 periods during, guess what? Pandemic. Yeah, nuts, yeah. Big part of this, right? And then the Cookout, which is a Discord. Really good. They're gonna be happy that I'm mentioning them, so yeah. This next part sucks, but here we go. With the exception of the Cookout, all these Black Pokemon Leagues have had sex scandals and issues that have led to legal repercussions, bringing them close to ceasing to exist because continue to have constant, clean programming surrounding Pokemon. Other detrimental factors include tone and language, overly sexualized material, unchecked haughtiness, too many off-topic talks, and dimensions of existing while Black in America, lack of accommodation. So we talk about the concept of breadwinners, right? We talk about people who have 2, 3, 4 kids, right? I gotta work. I can't be on this game. I can't be in this league and everything. And they don't get the time to do tournaments. They don't get the time to participate in acting. And then you have clout versus accountability. I'm gonna tell you where it all went wrong. This is not gonna be super arbitrary or anything, but you think like, okay, it's all Black people and everything, we should think that race, but there's so many things that go into it. Elitism, right? Different education levels. When you're forming a group of any sort, you're gonna have these different class differences. You're gonna have different gender differences, sexual orientations, right? And none of that, even if we go to a digital world, does not escape your digital world. However, some people, education is a privilege, right? When you're educated some things, it may not stop these things, but it helps you put a name to it. And some people in it didn't realize what they were doing. So when you're talking to women, right, in gaming, you'll be like, men have a thing without even knowing it because of misogyny, talking to women they're playing, like, oh, you just must not be good in the game, right? Also misogyny in gaming as well, and like maybe parents saying like, gaming is not for girls, right? I remember a lot of my parents or my friends have said like, my parents said Pokemon was demonic, and I'm a girl, I shouldn't be playing it and everything of the sort, right? Those type of things feed into it, like religion, right? Tone and language when people are talking to each other. When you're on the internet, you can say whatever the heck you want, right? So if you tell somebody, dude, you just suck at doing EV training, bro, I don't know what's wrong with you, right? The concept of saying good game, we talk about universal design of learning, right? When you're forming your anything, that is so important. Tone, language, why we say good game, even if you didn't feel it was a good game, right? It sets the tone of like, we're gonna be friendly no matter what the match happens. Sometimes after matches, people like, bro, your Pokemon sucks anyway, bro. You lost because of a fluke. I would never lose. And it becomes like Whitney in Gen 2, where it says, I don't accept this, right? And then people will start arguing, calling each other's names, calling each other's horrible names, like I haven't even been able to repeat, racialized, homophobic, it gets really crazy. Sometimes saying no in your spaces, right? We're all adults here. We've been through sex ed class and everything. We may not need to see certain pictures. We may not need to have certain conversations. We may want to keep about Pokemon. And one bad thing was having these leagues, the moderators and everything, they just let people post a lot of what they wanted to about relations with Pokemon, joking about it, drawings of Pokemon seen. And a lot of people's like, hey, I'm just trying to come after work and play the game. I may not want to see that. We talk about the concept of free speech and free expression, but when you have a group of different people that come from different backgrounds, you have to have a standard of like, hey, we may not just do that here. Out of every single Pokemon region, Tajiri has been the one that's been like, hey man, this may not be correct, right? And some people got mad at us for that. I was like, no, we have representations of everybody, but sometimes we may just want to keep that in the Pandora's box, you know? Too many off-topic talks to the point where Arjana used to be the largest Pokemon region. Ujima, all these individuals, but because nobody was playing Pokemon or people felt bad about losing because they didn't have the resources, you have the activity slow down, right? You have people not. So a lot of these groups became just anime and manga groups that did gaming on the side. They became pop parties, right? Which kind of stinks because then you don't have a focus. What they started with is not what they ended with, which is fine when you want to morph the mission of your thing, but retaining the mission of your group, of your community, is a very hard task when sometimes the people aren't gravitating to that. A lot of people in Tajiri's tournaments, we give a lot of people like leniency, like you just had a kid, your dad just died. We talk about the concept of black tax, so you have to handle the funeral costs, right? You can't participate in this tournament at this time. You can't get this new Switch 2 because of this, that, and the third. You can't get this new game and be a gym leader. How do we accommodate? Do we start a funding source? All that, go ahead. Go ahead, go, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I have a question. Why do you think the cookout was exempt from all this nonsense that was going on? It was also on Discord too, which I realized which was different than all the other sites as well.
Right, no, that's a very good question, right? Discord was just used to overthrow an entire government, so I'm not gonna say you tell me, but no, it's a real talk. Discord is like, it's very interesting from Facebook and everything, but what happened with the cookout is that, from what I know, I think there's Black Women, but it was started by Pokemon League judges, right? It was actually with the company. I was actually certified as a judge. I think I still am actually. So with that, they was like, dude, I'm seeing a lot of crazy stuff at regionals, at tournaments, and they would all link up a tournament. This was one gentleman like, hey, it's kind of like a speakeasy. It became a speakeasy. It became so niche that the idea formed the foundation, you know, and that's the only reason why. And in it, they have specific sections where they talk about the nonsense that goes on in how blackness is perceived in Pokemon. Like when racist, you don't think racism can permeate Pokemon, but at regional competitions, they'll get called names. They were like, you look like a Rillaboom, all these different things, right? No, it's nuts. It's nuts. So the cookout was formed as like, we have to band together. So they never had no sex scandal, they never had no fallouts. It's actually insane. I'm just like, bro, I've been in every single one of these. Y'all never had a single fallout. That's because of that foundation, and it goes to the solution, which I'm getting ready to talk about now, about whether you do any space, here's the solution as you create your own world, right? So with our Gym Challenge, Ranking Cup, Unite, Community, Discord, Facebook, and other initiatives on social media, Tajiri works daily as the largest and most active all-Black Pokemon Center community in the world to use our programs to sharpen focus, professionalism, and talent. We stood tall after its initial years in creating safe, fun, entertaining, and educational programs for over 1,000 plus members of the Afro diaspora. My full-time job is also doing tutoring and speaking and everything, but I do this every single day because it's bigger than me now, right? We've seen a lot of quote-unquote empires rise and fall. Empires that people don't even know about, right? But with Arjana, they specifically gave up after having 10,000 people, the clout chasing, the arguments, the beefs, the talking about people's dead parents, it all got really just out of hand because there was no check of accountability, right? And then I said, I want Tajiri to be different because we can play together, be haughty, talk about stuff, but also set a standard. So we have a strong staff. We have various programs and rewards. I'm gonna show this real quickly. We have a whole economy, right? What does a quote unquote nation need to run? It's an economy, right? So we maintain a data system, which is one of the most dexterous, actually the most dexterous out of all the Black Pokemon Leagues, of like an economy of your merit-based points and what you're able to do as a gym leader, as a trainer, through volunteering, right? And people are able to see the sense of competition. We have a lot of people who work with like Excel and Discord and everything of the sort, and able to compile a lot of these numbers, stories, narratives, a Tajiri avatar challenge, mix on the concepts of animes, have a hall of fame, give people names and jackets, talk about the different tournaments they've won, an Elite Four, a gym legacy, to talk about when the professor talked about the concept of lore keeping and where these records go. I recognize that a part of history is those who's there to tell history. There's a lot of people who may know pieces and bits of it, but I've made it my big thing to keep who's this legacy, who's this person, who's that, and being a scribe of that, right? That's been a big thing. So that's part of it, and that's the type of database that we're able to keep. But then another thing we do externally is we do conventions. Tajiri is able to do a bunch of conventions around the United States, and I'm like their organizational brand manager. So I go out to different conventions, make the deals, scribe, talk to them, make the deals, and get us there. And futuristic, like we have speeches and panels that we do, we have merchandise, and we've started to develop original tech. Like if you're able to put your phone up to this, it'll scan right to the Tajiri website if anybody wants to pass around and wants to go check it and everything. So we also have like digital cards as well. Like you can create an official trainer card just like on the video games, you can scan it right to the site and everything. It helps us become a little bit more real. It helps people get a buy-in. It helps them make a part of something. And I invest in the tech as well. Not as like a thing to sell, right? It's more so like this is our way of archiving. This is our way of artifacts, right? This comes from a person who really loves culture, who's traveled around the world, who wants to travel the world, see all the continents, but seeing places like China and thousands of years of culture. Who's seen places like Paris and the architecture, seeing Africa. And I'm like, maybe a nation should have artifacts, right? Maybe a league should have artifacts. So when you think about the world you want to build, what are some of the best worlds that you've seen, right? And this is just some of the cool things. Like I said, Wolfie Glick, one of the top contenders of my league, faced him in April 2024 regionals in Florida. First round. Imagine getting LeBron your first round. So pretty wild, right? So we got that on King. We've been at different conventions. We have 18 gyms plus 2 extra gyms for the gym league. Your professors wiped the floor with somebody already, so you know, it's a little quiet flex, you know. We have all types of Pokemon games that people can play in. We're the first all-Black Pokemon League to have a website, to have an official partnership with HBU and colleges in general. We have official t-shirts and apparel. Have a podcast that talks about our story and lore, which is available now. All this is available and accessible that people can get on. Be contracted for major U.S. conventions. Be contracted for multiple years in a row and get deals. To have college interns and give official college intern credit and turn this into a corporation. And to sell merchandise. And we have over 8,000 plus battles throughout our 4-year tenure. We're about to go on 5. Next year will be our 5th anniversary, coinciding with the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. So, in conclusion, so building a world of our dreams, whether in real life or digitally, requires vigilance, commitment on a deeper level. Tajiri provides a template for Black gaming spaces and all those representing unrepresented, feeling unrepresented, or wanting to grow their crew to grow into something greater, to where we could all shine the sun. So I remember you have the lyrics from the Pokemon thing. They said, you know, in a world we must defend, a heart so true, courage will pull us through. You teach me and I'll teach you. So we really, some of those principles start to embody where we know about it. So Yeah. But thank you all so much. This is my contact information, everything of the sort. Hold the power, and I thank you so much for having me here today. I'm here to answer a question. Thank you all so much. Any questions, any sort, nitty gritty, like I'm the Morpheus, I know it all. So go ahead, bro.
Question. So I know that you talk about doing esports with Morehouse, and I was curious, kind of, you're doing wonderful stuff, and it seems super cool, and you have a lot of engagement from your students. And I'm curious, kind of, what the response from your administration has been at your school to your efforts in the program.
It's crazy. I'm an alumnus of Morehouse, and I don't even work there. But as an alum, I said we have to have that level of engagement. So even though I'm outside, I bum rushed in. I talked to the dean. He was the advisor who said they couldn't have it because they have guns. I said, Dean Booker, you have to check. This sounds crazy. You got to challenge your OG sometimes. I was like, Dean Booker, I was like, you may not want, I'll handle it, right? Adults have a certain way, we all adults, have a certain way of being talked to. And I was like, you know what? Let me handle it, let me do that. Because you can't ask permission sometimes for like revolution, right? For like a big change, right? It sucks, but you have to figure out a clever way to like, I can Trojan horses, right? I said that they have an alumnus advisor who's outside who can give them this. School can't, they have no liability over me because I'm a nonprofit, right? Having my own space, right? And so I'm even able to work with Bowie's esports team as well and stuff like that. Being an independent agent, forming my own quote unquote world or territory allows me to be sovereign in a sense, right? And like, what you gonna do, fire me? You can't fire me. You can't take away money from me, right? It's all my money and everything given to them. And of course, we have a deal that we worked out. And the school, because it's benefiting them, they're staying in school, they're getting internships, and their grades are being kept up. Not to be on some Coach Carter stuff, because with that, we talk about resources. How do I not have a tutoring company, and if the students are falling, then I have a resource for that? So that was a big thing, right? Imagine your grades are falling because you're playing video games, right? I'm not going to Coach Carter and be like, oh, y'all got D's and all that other stuff, right? But make sure that you're all okay. So that's been, I really appreciate the compliment, but part of it has been like, not even employed by this school. But as an alumnus, I feel like there was a lot of bros like me and him that was like growing up and we was just playing in the hallways and playing in our rooms and stuff. It was like, dude, this is special. As alumnus, we should stand up to do something. So my alumnus Morehouse brothers have been like, yo, you're doing really great work. How can we support, So everybody just comes together to just do it.
Is the school helping you in any way, in any capacity?
Yeah, now they're helping because people don't believe it until we start making some dollars, you know what I mean? So Morehouse is bringing in all this money and being on all these things, right? And they wouldn't have gotten there if I hadn't been like, I think these boys deserve it. Like Shigeru Miyamoto did, right? I think they got some spunk to them, right? And once you start seeing dollar signs, start seeing the buy-in, then Morehouse is now promoting them, right? They can only do it to an extent because of the guns in the games, but they advertisement in school walks and everything. So the tides are changing, and sometimes it takes one organization or one person to just be like, dude, like, we may let these guys through and let them show what they can do. And that's kind of been how it's been for these conventions. Like, when you have a Black Pokémon League at a convention, right? DreamCon with RDC World and everything, MomoCon, all these people have 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 people, but somehow our league's able to do it because we open up the door for other people, right? It sucks to be the token, it sucks to be the first, and even with me in Fenworks, but it becomes a responsibility when you look at those who came before you had to do the same thing. So others, like even Ivy Leagues and everything, right? The first people of color to come in, and they was the first of theirs, right? So someone has to do it. And I looked at it. I'm not even on the egotistic thing. I was like, somebody got to do it. If nobody's going to do it, give it a hard John, I'll do it, right? So
I have one more follow-up question.
Go, yeah.
And then, do you think the school's buy-in is more in like helping with kind of admissions and people matriculating to school, or is it more in retention?
I think it's both, or more so branding, right? Yeah. Capitalism, right? I'm glad you rephrased it with that, right? What makes us money? What gets people in them seats, right? And I hate to talk about people like the art of the deal and stuff like that, but I'm like, I ain't gonna hold you. Like, sometimes I remember Kendrick said, what do you say? It was on the Black Panther song. It was on All the Stars. He said, corrupt a man's heart with a gift. That's how you know who you're dealing with, or something like that. But like, everybody has a price, right? And the capitalists, they want to see their brand and they want to make more seats, right? How can I make it so that even those who are disenfranchised? So it becomes a clever magic trick that you have to do. If I get more people in the seats, if I can make the brand look better, they're going to turn an eye to something, and they're going to keep promoting it, right? So imagine you was the first school or first Ivy League to do this, that, and the third. It was like, I get to put that on the website. at Bowie State University, I was the first person to graduate with a hip hop degree, actually. One of the first in the world. And they put me on websites. They was able to raise $100, $200 million, whatever, mind you, for their school. And they're putting me all on the website. You know, when Kanye said, hey, let's put them all in the front of the store, you feel me? I'm like, look, I got 3 hots in the cot. I still get to do my engagement, but they also get the fundraise. So a symbiotic relationship. And that's low-key one of the ways to Trojan horse these things with these big brands, corporations, because it's tough to get this buy-in, right? They don't even care. They say they care about diversity and everything. What means our bottom line? What's getting people in seats? We don't care about that. You know? Any
Thank
other
you.
questions or dialogue? Appreciate y'all. Go ahead. Yes.
What's your favorite Pokemon type?
Oh my God. Ooh, this is tough actually.
What are you a current gym leader?
Yes, I am.
What gym are you running?
Actually, no. I just
What gym were you running?
I was running the Fairy Gym actually.
Hey.
Yeah. So Fairy is a busted type. You have Zacian, you have the Tapus, you have a whole bunch of other things. But I was called the Fairy King because I didn't want to get Fairy because I don't know if it was my preconceived. This is like way back then, like preconceived notion of masculine. I'm like, what's a Fairy type going to do? And everybody's like, bro, you have the strongest type. It's to bust. Yeah, it's to beat people's in. And they was like, dude, you're not fair. I got the most. If you look on this, real quick, this is nasty actually. It's not because I'm just the
I
organ.
saw number 1. I saw it.
Yeah, you saw that.
I saw it.
Yeah, I had like over 274 defense. That means people said, man, this Fairy type is weak. Again, because of misogyny, sexism, homophobia. It was like, yeah, like I think Fairy type is weak. I'm like, all right, come try it. And people's like, how do you keep getting defense? Like people keep challenging me because they think Fairy's weak. You feel me?
That's the best type of game.
And so, I also really love my late uncle, who my name Maurice's namesake. They call him Bird, right? And he's a Leo too. It's really kind of crazy. My dad talks about him all the time, and that's the reason my dad doesn't want me to play gun games as like a whole thing. But then they called him Maurice. His name was Bird because he loved the concept of like flying. I don't know why. It's not even because of him. I love flying types. I adore flying. I love Ho-Oh. When Ho-Oh Lugia first came out, dog, that was fire. I love Talonflame. I love Staraptor. Man, when Staraptor came out, I've never seen a bird Pokemon that uses fighting in close combat.
That was pretty easy.
I said that was the hardest thing ever. And you see a lot of bird legendaries. I'm just like, the concept of flight is so cool to me. So it goes fairy, flying, and then fire. So for yes, I love fire types because I don't know.
Okay, I fuck with that list. A lot of people underestimate flying because they're always flying normal, and a normal type is kind of mid. But like flying, like Salamence, if anything, like flying type will break down the team.
Yeah,
All right, anyway, and we'll take one more if anybody has anything. All right, but either way, I'll take the last two. Steven,
Yeah.
you and then Grayson.
I guess how do you make sure that your community, like Tajiri regions, kind of stays all black and like stays kind of a safe place?
No, excellent.
Tajiri isn't all black, if I'm not
It
mistaken.
actually is.
It is.
This is the only one, which is fun. It's fun. It usually there's other leagues, even Arjana and other people have like integrated. Kari is under. So my thing is like you talked about before. How do you remain vigilant, right? When you have underrepresented people think it's an affront to be like, why do you have your own spaces? And they get like rule of 3, right? Why is there? How come whatchamacallit? And it's not an affront. It's not to be mean. It was like this is one of the only places where we have for ourselves and everything of the sort. So we have a check system. Shout out to my tech guy, right? You know, different part of Avengers have different things. We have a tech guy and we have a verification system. Like, I think you also seen it before, like there's a verification system just to see like, what's your picture, what you look like, right? If you don't have anything on your site. There's a lot of black fishing on the internet, right? People wanting to claim who they aren't, like doing different personalities and everything. No, you can't be Stan Twitter. No, you can't be a Stan account, right? You have to show what you have to do this, right? And we do that. Now, we have spaces like Instagram and other places. The Facebook group is different because you have to get there's a gateway, right? And Discord's also a gateway. But in Instagram, anybody can kind of like and follow our Instagram. Just like NAACP has like people who could join it who doesn't a person of color and everything. So it's like we have to have a vigilant system every single day on some Wakanda like stuff on the outside and everything. Like, hey dude, like this is really dope and everything. We really appreciate you, but unfortunately, like there's like a way we have to have a certain level of representation, stuff like that, parents, everything. Only because we want to keep that. It doesn't mean like when we go out to different conventions, we never for everybody, right? We show love, we have cookouts, we have damn fun, right?
Yeah.
But it's a vigilant thing every single day. And two, where other regions have been like, well, I don't care. And it's not just about race, but like who do you let in? Who's being homophobic? Who hates women, right? Like, you gotta really be vigilant, because once other things get checked, some people are like, well, he didn't get checked for that. I'm like, no, sorry, we have a standard. So, that's a good question. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my question, going back to your points on data, I was curious, like, what data points you pull, and are you doing all that? And, like, I guess kind of, like, is that all stuff you have to do because it doesn't exist, like ranking systems and all that?
Right, we had
Isn't it out there?
to create that from scratch. I was the original creator, and I got my guy Chris Shade. His champion nickname is the Wizard. He does all of our Discord and stuff like that. And you have these individuals that have these different names, not on like a thing where we actually believe we're just people, but just nicknames that we give each other. And he's really skilled in tech. He's also has a degree in law. Like, you have so many people that you'll meet who have so many magic across the world, and they say, I love the mission, I'm gonna help. Shade has helped me perfect the algorithm to get different instances. And I do have to manually input the data because, like you said, it doesn't exist. How can you pull that from the video game? That means I have to do a meticulous marking system, and then I put it into the data system, and then we do the algorithms and everything. There's an equation, and if you're good at Excel, maybe there is some good in all those little Excel certifications, right? So if you're good at that, and you're able to get those formulas, I said, Shade, I want a way to aggregate. I already know what I have an idea of. I'm a math guy, here's the formula, can you fix it? He says, I got you, on some Tony Stark stuff. And it's really dope because him and myself and other people kind of have that, so.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And then what do you do with it, like?
Oh, we showcase it, and we also do like a newsletter, right? You got people, what's a buy-in for this, dude? Like any region or anything you do, this is an online space, what's the economy behind it, right?
Yeah.
What happens if you get just points? You get new clothes, right? You get free tickets to conventions, right? You and your family get some new Switch. How do you create economy? How do you create buy-in, right? How do you get highlighted? How do we make people feel like, dude, I'm hyped? Like, there's people who've never been in a league like this. They wake up and say good morning to Jerry every single day. Easy, they were like, hey, good morning, how's everybody doing?
Every day, my phone is blowing up. I cannot even engage. You see I'm busy now.
Right. And people just say good morning, everything. This guy said, dude, like, y'all giving me trophies, I've never felt valued like this, right? The sense of how you make your community feel valued, right? With the small things. A trophy's $50, right? Now, you may not just throw $50, but if you recognize for a cause, I'm looking at the concept of community. I'm like, bro, if I'm making this much, then 50 ain't that, and we're gonna have to put our dollars up. Even for these jackets, for the M8, they all cost like Masters 8, like Marion's costing $95 a piece. I looked at the admins, I said, I don't know anybody's willing to put up 100, but let's all split it up and see what we can do. And let's do the trophies, and everybody was like, dude, like, and now everybody's participating, they're hyped. I'm on the newsletter, I'm highlighted. This is the first time I've gotten back to the game in 20 years. I'm him, you feel me? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do think there's also an important part to, like, in terms of differentiation to that, because the economy that you're talking about is an internal economy.
Right, an internal economy.
It is not one that is directly, even though you guys are engaged with external sources and sponsors and things like that, right? This is some of the beauty of Black community building and Black knowledge building in the way in which that resources are shared, right? There's all these conversations around like early Black socialist communities and engagements in the ways in that these communities are sharing the labor of everything, right? When they had a jacket that they needed to put out for people, $95 is a lot of it, is too much for people. They split the cost. They split the cost of trophies, and this is all about creating hype and momentum within the group. They're not necessarily doing it for external recognition, right? Pokemon community, like the Pokemon company, has already failed to recognize many of these Black communities for the reason why that's why they were created. So they had to make their own internalized economy, right? So when in the aspects of world building, it's not just like, oh, we made a group or whatever else, right? Like there's deep thought going into the politics, the resources, and the universality of what it is, right? Of trying to make something tactile for many of these communities. So fantastic stuff. Round of applause again, please. Okay, all right, beautifully done. Fantastic, Warrior. All right, now we have 20 minutes left. All of this other stuff. We do not have to get into my work today, and that saves me some time. What should we call it? But there is so many resonate. Well, obviously, there's a lot of resonance because, again, a lot of what you just told me is already written into a chapter. But there's so much beauty and so much that's going on here that makes me happy, makes me proud, and I'm glad to see a lot of this happen. And even though I have to be a big mean